We are going to look at how to evaluate some of these radical and rational expressions to simplify these. This is probably the area my students struggle with the most this week. Okay, let's start with this one. We have -9 to the 7th root of 1. Well, what times itself 7 times multiplies to 1? Well, the answer is 1. So the 7th root of 1 is 1. The square root of 1 is 1. The cube root of 1 is 1. You always get a 1. So we have -9 times a 1. Well, that just is -9. So that one's pretty easy to evaluate. So when it says evaluate, you're actually going to get a numerical answer. Okay, number 19. The cube root of 64 squared. Well, the cube root you can actually do on a calculator. We use the TI-30SX. And I'm going to give you the keystrokes for this. You're going to hit the second function. Well, first of all, you've got to tell the calculator, instead of a square root, it's a cube root. So I'm going to put in a 3 first. After you put in the 3, you're going to hit the second function key to tell its root. And then there's an x to the y button, which tells it it's not a square root, but another root. You're going to type that button. And then you're going to put in what you're taking the cube root of, which in this case is 64. And then, of course, you hit equal, and it will give you the cube root. Well, what times itself 3 times gives us 64? Well, and the answer is 4. 4 times 4 times 4 is 64, so that's the cube root. So let's take a 4 out of the radical. And we have nothing left in here, and we're just going to square that, so the answer evaluates to 16. Okay, let's look at number 20. Okay, we have 125 to the 1/3. Well, 1/3 means a cube root. So you can either type in the calculator 125, hit your exponent key, which looks like this, and it's on the left-hand side, and then do 1 divided by 3, so it gives you the fraction. It'll look like a fraction. Hit equal, and that'll give you 125's cube root, which is 5. And then 5 squared is 25. So use your calculator to type these in. Okay? The next one is 2 over 2 to the -2nd. A -2nd power tells us that we need to change its position. It's in the wrong floor, as I call it. So we have a 2 upstairs, and we have 2 to the -2nd in the denominator, which is kind of like downstairs. Well, with a negative exponent, we have to change the position and move it up, and it becomes a positive exponent. And when we do that, we have 2 like bases. We're going to add exponents. What exponent is on the number 2? We don't write it, but there is a 1 right there. So when we multiply like bases, we're going to add these 2 exponents together. So our answer is 2 cubed. Now we can evaluate that. 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. You could also, again, type that in your calculator. 2 exponent key to the 3rd power. Now, this one you could also type in the calculator. Let me show you a couple keystrokes to help you. If you wanted just to type that straight in the calculator, you would take 2 divided by, since we have a fraction right here, and then 2 to the -2nd. So to the -2nd, you hit your exponent key, which looks like a little mountain, to the -2nd, and hit your equal sign, and you should get the same answer, which is 8. So there you go. There's a few examples of how to deal with evaluating radicals and rationals.